going to be fascinating. Like, C.J. Stroud was a guy that a lot of people loved this draft process. Like, there were a lot of people out there saying Stroud should have been the top QB in the draft. He was the number one guy. He was better than Bryce Young. He's a more sure thing than Anthony Richardson, whatever it was. So a lot of people that had Stroud as the number one guy. I was always lower on Stroud than most people. I think there are concerns there. And he hasn't played a lot in preseason. Like, he's played, but they've kept him relatively out of the game, running with the starters, running with the ones. They haven't really gone out there to see, what he can do in preseason. Preseason's just been about the kind of standard knocking the rust off, sharpening up for the season. So we're not really going to find out anything until real bullets start flying and we get an idea of whether the things that look like weaknesses from his tape are real problems.
Per usual, I think I'll confirm my priors with Stroud. And from what we've seen a little bit in the preseason, if the play's there schematically, and I'm not saying it has to be wide open, but if the play's there schematically, I trust Stroud to hit that throw, maybe as much as Bryce Young in this draft class. And he can hit tight window throws. There was a lot of stories coming out of Houston about his pinpoint accuracy and what he's doing at practice. We saw that a couple preseason games ago against the Dolphins. A precision deep out, a precision over route where he's putting it right on the receiver. The question during the entire draft process for Stroud was, if he's under pressure, has to make plays outside of structure, can he do it other than that one Ohio State game? I think that still remains to be seen. So I think it's going to come down to that offensive line, which looks solid on paper. Remember, they're the team, after all this time, they're the team that traded for Josh Jones from the Arizona Cardinals for a fifth, and pick swap in the fifth and the seventh got flipped, but Josh Jones could come in and play right tackle while Titus Howard is hurt. Shaq Mason comes over this offseason. Laramie Tunsil's one of the better pass-protecting left tackles. It looks like 3/5 of that line is solid. We'll see what happens with year 2 of Kenyon Green at left guard. So to me, it comes down to the Shanahan derivative scheme here, putting Stroud in position to succeed, a solid group of playmakers, especially if Tank Dell's getting his time. So we could see some ups and downs as any rookie, but I think Stroud will be solid for a rookie this year.
I feel like his strength is the thing that Trey Lance is struggling with the most at the moment. Like, that idea of the cardinal sin in the Shanahan offense is passing up the thing that's dialed up in the play call, the play design. Like, Shanahan's offense is exceptionally good, probably the best in the NFL, at ensuring number one is always open. And sometimes number one won't be open. You'll have to go to 2 to 3, work through a progression. But that's probably the best offense in the NFL at getting number one open as often as possible. And through preseason, like, the defining characteristic of Trey Lance's play was he was passing up number one all the time, even when it wasn't, covered, all those kinds of things. I feel like the one thing C.J. Stroud is going to do as often as humanly possible, and probably quite well, is target number one. Even when number one isn't open, it's going to get him into some trouble. But in this offense, that's probably the best way to default. Like, I think certainly the coaches would prefer they take that approach than the one Trey Lance is taking at the moment, which is, hesitating and trying to go to 2 to 3. Just assume number one is going to be open. If it's not, that's as much on me as it is you. And at some point, we'll work on, not throwing it right to a safety when number one isn't, in fact, open because there's a safety lurking there. But, let's just trust that the offense is generally doing the right thing and target that guy. That, I think, is what Stroud is going to have to do well right away. And therefore, we hope that, Bobby's scheming number one open as often as possible.